There you are. Good morning. So I haven't posted a video in a while. I think today I might do that. It's the weather is really beautiful outside. Oh, it's very calm. I haven't checked the weather aloft, but I will before we take off. But I'll give you a quick peek at everything, and then see if we can't get the old Tri-Pacer fired up. Take you guys out for a ride. Here's what it looks like outside. This is really nice. I'm sitting in my truck right now where it's warm. And over here's the sun coming up. There's the old Tri-Pacer. Alright. Cool. Alright, see you guys out there. It is it's cold out here. I checked the gauge on my truck on the way in, and it's showing 10 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this old girl started up real quick so she can be warming up. Sorry, I'm moving the camera around. Never claimed to be a professional, so bear with me. Get it primed up. This plane has a plug in it where you can plug it in at night, and especially up here in Alaska, and there's a small auxiliary heater inside the cab, and there's also a heater around the engine to keep the engine warm and the oil warm. So right now the oil, even though it's 10 degrees outside, the oil temperature is saying 82, which is, it's really good for the motor. So here we go. Clear. Always forget to turn that thing on. Alright, so I'm just going to let it warm up for a while, and we get ready to take off. I'll get it up with you. Alright, got her truck up here, letting her warm up a little bit, and we're gonna go do us a run up, make sure everything's kosher with her, and then we'll go landing, I was planning on coming straight in, and then we had a Super Cub out there playing around. So we had to swing out and come in side 45 and make our landing that way. But all in all, a good little flight today. It was it's beautiful outside. The only problem is we got some really low lying clouds around the ground, which isn't really an issue, you know, as long as we stay away from them. But problem is, you know, if we had an issue or something, finding a place to land or something like that, it could be a little dangerous. So, you know, we got what we get, an hour and 15-minute flight in today, which is nice. But like I said, I got some stuff at home to work on. I got I'll show you, maybe I'll show you when I get home. We'll film a little bit of that. But I'm working on a little plane at the house, and you know, a little piece here and a little piece there, trying to get it fixed up. So anyways, I'll show you that when we get home. Thanks. All right, so we're back in the shop. I'm going to show you guys what I got in here. Try not to look at the shop. My wife says it's a mess, but I know exactly where everything is, so there's that. So what I'm about to show you is a little airplane that I bought last year, I think it was, and I found it sitting in a little patch of weeds at Palmer Airport, and I just been working on it a little bit here and there. I ended up paying the man like $3,000 for this airplane, and right now I probably got $4,000 or a little bit more into it, which is insane for an airplane, a flying airplane. So let me show you what I got, and then maybe when I'm making the video, I'll show you what I started with versus where we're at. So this is what we're working with here. You can tell this plane's called a Merlin GT. I would give you a better shot of it, but I'm actually walking around another airplane here. And so you'll see if I can figure out how to post a picture on this video. This plane originally started out like a baby blue and white color, so I just painted it up. There's the instrument panel. There was a turn coordinator right there, but I needed one for my Piper, so I just took that one out, put it in there. And but yeah, so this is what we're working on. And today my plan is to put a new windshield in, which of course I got to make, because this is these are considered experimental aircraft, which in the world of airplanes basically means that they're essentially home-built airplanes. But this one was built from a kit from a manufacturer in the 1990s. And this originally was built with a Rotax 582, which if you look at this little plane, this is a Rotax 503, which is, these were originally snowmobile engines, and then people started putting them in ultralight airplanes because they were just super reliable, and the weight to power ratio was crazy. I think that engine there weighs less than 100 pounds, and it's putting out 54 horsepower. So in comparison, I'll show you here, this airplane, this is an actual aircraft engine that you would find. This engine came out of a Piper J3 Cub, and this is called a Continental C85. So anyways, in comparison to the Rotax, this is an 85 horsepower Continental 4-cylinder. They're much more reliable. They last a lot longer. This one was actually, I think this engine was built in the 1940s, which sounds like a long time, but for instance, the airplane that I fly, it was flying earlier today, was built in 1955. So these things last forever. But anyways, long story short, this engine probably weighs I'm guessing on this, probably 250. And so there's a big difference in weight to power. But one of the bigger differences though is this engine here the TBO, which is the time before overhaul, I think stands for. They recommend this engine gets overhauled every 2,000 hours of runtime, and in comparison, the Rotax 503, they recommend that it's overhauled every 300 hours. Now the reality is, on the Rotaxes, most people will run these things 600-700 hours before they even think about tearing them down, but that is the recommendation. And these things here, they routinely will run beyond 2,000. So that's kind of where we're at. But this is a certified aircraft. Well, it used to be a certified aircraft engine. Now, because it's on an experimental airplane, it's considered an experimental engine. So that also gives me the ability to work on it myself and get they call it repairman certificate. But anyway, here's the wings. They look kind of dusty and nasty, but it's going to be a pretty cool little airplane when we get finished with it. There's the cowling. There's the tires that's going in it. Well, we hope. Those are 30-inch Airstreak, which is made by Alaska Bush Wheels. Had custom gear built for it. Oh, hey, Franco. Custom gear built for it. This landing gear has been stretched 6 inches compared to the original landing gear. And those little bitty tires are just for moving it around. But yeah, that's what we're working on today. Like I said, I went and got the materials yesterday, and we're going to hopefully get the windshield built today. And for those that don't know, this is there's some videos. I got a couple of videos online. This is a Challenger 2. I bought off a old man down in Soldotna about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I guess. And then I've been rebuilding it. I actually flew this plane. There's some videos online of me flying this plane. And but I had some the throttle, when I put it at full throttle, it wasn't throwing out as many RPMs as it was supposed to. So I brought it home. I'm going to probably rebuild the wings on it and make it a little bit better, is my hope. But it is a fun, super fun little airplane to fly. You can tell we got the wings off of it right now, or it wouldn't fit in there anyway. That's pretty much a brand new engine sitting back there. Those engines are getting harder and harder to find because they quit making them a long time ago. But the cool thing is, back in the day, that was one of the most popular ultralight engines on the market, and they're still highly sought after, but they just don't make them no more. But yeah, that's my Challenger. This, when it was originally built, was an ultralight. FAA changed the rules on ultralights, and today this is no longer considered an ultralight because it has 2 seats in it, and it has a 10-gallon fuel tank in it, and it weighs too much. This plane probably weighs 550 pounds, maybe. I'm hoping it's a little less, but you know, I'm just guessing. I know she's heavy, but today, legally, an ultralight cannot weigh no more than 254 pounds. Can only have 1 seat and 5 gallons of fuel. So essentially, the FAA destroyed the ultralight market when they changed the rules. There's still a few planes out there that meet that rule, but it's extremely hard. And an ultralight kit nowadays, for instance, there's a company in Florida that produces a plane called an Aerolite 103, and it is a true 3-axis airplane, but it's essentially some metal poles with some fabric stretched over some wings and a little bitty engine. And that airplane cost over $30,000, which is absolutely insane. But you do not have to have a license to fly that airplane. There's other airplanes out there. There's another one that's kind of a favorite of mine. It's actually made out of the whole fuselage and wings is built out of wood, really small strips of wood, and They almost literally look like strips of popsicle sticks or something. And it's all glued together. There's no real bolts or nuts or nails. And it's called a Fisher 202 Koala. I love the damn things. I almost bought one down here, and I kicked myself in the butt every day for not buying it, because I could have bought it for $3,000, and it was very well built. But the good news is you find them all over. Well, there's plenty of them, and Fisher's been around for a long time. They have several models of airplanes that they offer in kit form. But it takes a long time to build them. You have to build them yourself. You can't buy them built from the factory. But they will provide you, they call it a quick build kit, where some of the parts are built, but by law you still have to put 51% of the airplane together yourself in order for it to be an experimental, amateur build experimental. Otherwise, I think it has to have a light sport certificate or something. There's crazy laws out there about that stuff. But they look like little Cubs. They're completely made out of wood, of course covered in light fabric, and they're single seat and got 5 gallons of fuel in them. And but they're really neat. They look like real airplanes. They get fully enclosed cockpit, everything. But my point being, there are some people or some companies out there that still can produce a 254-pound airplane, which is crazy to me that we can still do that. And but the regs are very tight. It's very, very hard to make that happen. So kudos to Fisher. However, Fisher was purchased by a company, CDK, I think it's called. And the prices, even for the Fisher, has just gotten out of saying. I think used to you could buy the plans for a few $100, and now just the plans, not any material, just the plans, I think I'm wanting to say like $4,000 just for plans to build one, and that's you resourcing all of your own materials. So it's just financially, it does not make any sense to do that unless you just, that's what you do for a hobby, is build experimental aircraft. And in that case, the Fisher's a cool little plane, but you're very limited on the days that you can fly something like that, especially up here. I wouldn't. There's even my plane, the Challenger. You really got to be careful on the days that you fly it, because it gets a little gusty up here, and that can really mess your day up. But getting back to the price of things, the reality is, by the time you finish building one of those little planes, you're going to have between $35,000 and $40,000 tied up in an ultralight airplane. And to put that in comparison, my Tri-Pacer that I fly with the 150 horsepower Lycoming engine, which is one of the most reliable general aviation aircraft engines ever built, I bought that plane, and it's a 4-seater airplane. I bought that plane for $30,000. So financially, it doesn't make any sense to purchase a Part 103 airplane, ultralights. I guess the biggest benefit to it is people who lost their medical, or they've lost their pilot license or whatever. They can still fly that plane legally, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, because the FAA no longer actually recognizes those things as airplanes. So you don't have to register them, and you don't have to have a license. They just consider them recreation vehicles. So that's kind of where they're at with that. But anyways, I'm going to get a phone call, obviously. I'm going to get off of here and then start working on my daggum windshield, and then we'll touch base later. Bye.